Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Slap back again for another review. This time around, I'm here to review Call of Duty World War II, brought to you by Activision and Sledgehammer. So, Call of Duty has somewhat taken a turn from the worst at this point in time. They really kind of understood that a lot of people were disappointed with what Call of Duty had become. Moving to the future warfare, I think they kind of took a little bit too big of a jump with it. With the Black Ops series, we saw slowly but surely there was a lot of this type of futuristic tech introduced into the series, and although the games were selling because it was part of the Black Ops series, and a lot of people feel the Black Ops series is one of the best series, or if not the best series in the Call of Duty kind of genre, which I do disagree with, but either way, I think Activision took that as, hey, we're having really high sales, people like what we're selling, so let's go ahead and move into this whole type of futuristic warfare. And we saw that with Advanced Warfare, and we also saw that with Infinite Warfare. And Infinite Warfare just took it to a place that it should have never gone. Now, with Infinite Warfare, I do understand that there are some people that still really liked the story of that game. And me, I played up until about, I think it was like Chapter 3, and I was just very disappointed with it. It felt like a mashup of all these games we've played before in the first-person genre, and I felt really disconnected. And as Activision actually just said a couple of days ago, or actually I think yesterday, it didn't feel like a Call of Duty game at all. It way went outside of the spectrum of a Call of Duty game. So, and to get back onto basis, I'm really, really glad that they went back to the old classic style of Call of Duty. I was a huge fan of Call of Duty back in the day and Medal of Honor. I really loved those games, and to see it return to what it originally was is fantastic. Now, I hope it stays in this aspect. I want it to stay in the spectrum that we're in now. I mean, it doesn't have to stay in World War II. We could see another Vietnam game. We could see whatever. I mean, there's a ton of wars out there that have happened in the past, that a lot of stories that haven't been told before. There's a ton of stories in World War II that still haven't been told. There's also a ton of stories of wars that have gone on in today. They've never spoken of the Gulf War. There's never been a game based on that, really. There's all different types of things that we can really talk about, and hopefully Activision will stay in this type of spectrum and not go real far into the future. So, as I was saying, I'm really, really happy that they went with the World War II aspect, and that's what cuts down into the story of the game. The story of the game tells the story of a young recruit in the U.S. 1st Infantry Division who experiences combat for the first time on D-Day. After surviving the beaches of Normandy, the squad will fight its way across Europe into iconic battle locations as they make their way through Germany, or into Germany. And the group that you're actually fighting in is part of Big Red 1. As we have seen previously in the Call of Duty series, Big Red 1 was actually one of the titles of the previous Call of Duty games. And Big Red 1 was just a really amazing group of men that did a lot for the war effort at the time. You play Private Red Daniels, and you have a lot of different let's say personalities to deal with, and it's just honestly, it's such a phenomenal storyline. It kind of hit home with me because I've never served myself, but my grandfather served during World War II. His name was Colonel Charles Afton Gale. He served in the Air Force for 26 years. He fought in World War II. He was also the head of the 12th Air Force in Waco, Texas during the 1950s, and he was the project commander over the F-111 in its conception, when they were first kind of formulating the idea and creating the plane itself. It just kind of really put a lot of things in perspective while I was playing this game, and it's done it before whenever I've played games or watch things about World War II. Whenever I watch Saving Private Ryan or Band of Brothers, or even the Pacific, and you think about the sacrifices that these men and women have to deal with during this time, especially when it comes down to World War II. The severity of World War II, it was like none other. I mean, you're thinking about a war that literally, if the United States and the Allied forces didn't partake in, you know, the world would be completely different as it is today. And, you know, I just really, you know, I know he obviously, he passed away in '94, and obviously there's no possible way I could ever thank him for what he did. But I mean, you know, I love him very much for everything he did for my family. And, you know, this game really just makes you think about all those men and women and, you know, innocent people that died during this war. And, you know, it just puts a lot of things in perspective. It makes you really think about how blessed we are to deal with the current situations. And that's the reason why I'm in such love with this game. The story, the writing, the character interactions. I think the voice acting in the game, you know, there's a couple of times that maybe some sub voice actors, kind of small-time voice actors, kind of pulled me out of it. But in-game, even in the credits and so on and so forth, I think that the credits, even in the cutscenes, I think they did a really, really good job. The writing of the game was fantastic, and to highlight some of the iconic battles that Big Red One was a part of, and also highlight some of the problems that some of these men dealt with, not just with the Nazi forces and the German forces and whatever else they were dealing with, but also in their own platoon. Is a really, really awesome thing, and a crazy thing that they added in to kind of give you that feel of, you know, these men weren't just away from their families dealing with a war. They were dealing with a battle of themselves as well, and it's something that we will never understand at all. So big shout outs to Sledgehammer and Activision for really, really wanting to make this game as authentic as possible. But with that being said, the graphics are phenomenal. I think the graphics, they did an amazing job. The engine that they used is so awesome. You know what's even crazy is that the cutscenes in the game were really good with the graphics, but there's a lot of times that actually I really preferred the in-game graphics compared to the cutscenes. The cutscenes almost kind of took you out of it, but I really liked the whole. There was only a few times it really happened, but I'm a big fan of some of these cutscenes that merge into straight gameplay. And that happened a lot in the Uncharted series. You would see, you know, certain little scenes to where they're talking, and then it just goes straight into gameplay. There's no loading screen or nothing. And that's a really big thing for me. And it happened a couple of times in the Call of Duty series, or Call of Duty World War II. You know, you could tell the difference. And I think the in-game graphics were just phenomenal. I mean, the cutscenes, as I said, they were pretty good, but they weren't as good as the in-game graphics. I mean, it really, really had me going a lot of times. So, also, you know, there was a couple problems I saw in the PS4 Pro edition. There were some screen tears here and there. There was a few times that the frames either would drop, or when there was too much stuff going on the screen, it would kind of pixelate around certain areas. You would get some rough edges, let's say that, when you would be doing a heavy gun mission, or certain, you know, explosions are going off left and right. You know, PS4 Pro, it does the checkered 4K, so it's not going to get something super smooth like either a high-end gaming PC or an Xbox One X, to where it runs full 4K at 60 frames per second. You know, there have been some really good tests from Digital Foundry that have proven that the Xbox One X does a full 4K 60 frames a lot of times. I think they did one test with Diablo 3, the remastered edition. It never dropped frames at all the entire game, and it's just a crazy thing that there's a console that's that powerful out there now. So shout out to Xbox on that. But either way, I really enjoy you know, my PlayStation 4 version of the game. But those little small things kind of sucked to see. So with that being said as well, the music was phenomenal. But we can move into the multiplayer. The multiplayer is really good. I think the multiplayer has a lot to offer with the outside of just the team deathmatch, free-for-all, so on and so forth. They also have the gridiron mode. They have war, which the war mode was really, really awesome. There's only 3 modes available right now, so I think they said that with the season pass, we're going to get some more war modes as well. Now, the one thing I've had a problem with was headquarters. When the game launched, there was a server problem. Nobody could really log in for quite some time. Headquarters was supposed to be this like big social hub, kind of like you see in Destiny, to where everybody can just get in one area and go do all this stuff and unlock stuff and have these one-on-one battles and so on and so forth. But it is yet to be it is yet to be brought back up as of an actual online mode. It doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, with maybe just because the game is so popular, so many people were trying to jump into the online matches left and right, or what, but I don't understand why it's taking them so long to get the headquarters going again. I hope they do, because I actually really like the headquarters mode. Now, the one thing I didn't like about it, and this just may be me, it doesn't seem like there's a way to mute public mics at all. Call me out if I'm wrong, but I mean, there's a lot of times I'm just trying to go through the headquarters and somebody's either playing some music or somebody's screaming in the background. There's no possible way I can get onto the social hub and actually mute their mics. So it really kind of sucked at times, but now it's just kind of like a barren wasteland. Like anytime I log online, there's nobody online. So as I said, the multiplayer mode is fun. I actually play a lot of the local play multiplayer, so I can try to practice as much as I can. But with that being said, let's move into the zombie mode. The zombie mode is phenomenal. It is the best zombie mode yet. I don't care whatever anyone else says. Yes, Black Ops had no ifs, ands, or buts. The whole the whole zombie mode that stretched all the way from World at War to Black Ops. Yes, it is a really awesome zombie mode. I mean, they did a phenomenal job with it. We understand that. Treyarch does a great job with zombies in general, but it's also the fact that this zombie mode is like none other before. It's so refreshing. It's so refreshing. I think there's a lot of similarities, but at the same time, it really stands out by itself because of the whole, the enemies do feel a lot like the necromorphs, the characters or evil alien characters from Dead Space. I'm pretty sure it was something like, they were called something like necromorphs or something like that. But either way, it was shocking almost. Whenever I played it for the first time and just saw the difference in the zombie mode in general, I was really, really surprised, and it's something I haven't been able to put down yet. I really am enjoying the zombie mode as a whole. There's a prologue map to where you're in a small kind of farmhouse. Once you play the prologue, you unlock it, and it's like a really, really small map. There's a upstairs, downstairs, and that's it. And you're just stuck in that one house, wave after wave. So it's really kind of hard whenever you have 4 people playing. I usually just try to do it by myself. There's also the Final Wretch map as well, and it's kind of more or less an introduction to the 4 new characters that are going to be in the spotlight this year, and it's a really awesome group of characters. You actually fight in a I always get this wrong, Bavarian village in Metalburg, Germany, and it's a really, really cool map. It's a pretty expansive map. It goes down into like a deeper dungeon as well, and it kind of has this whole cool backstory of how the zombies kind of have this Doom aspect of like a merger of like metal and flesh, and it's a really, really cool story. It kind of, as I said, it kind of merges Call of Duty Zombies with Doom, and I actually really, really like it. And as I said earlier too, it does have all these characters have this whole kind of Dead Space scare feel to them. There's a ton of jump scares in the game. There's a ton of times that, I'm not kidding you, while I was in my seat, I was jumping and screaming and acting like a fool. So, as I said, I mean, as a whole, this game is really, really good. I think this is probably one of the best Call of Duties in quite some time. I think it did have its problems with it being the PlayStation 4 version of the game. But with that being said, I am thoroughly enjoying my time with the game. I think the story mode was fantastic. I think the multiplayer is really fun. And I think the zombie mode is by far one of the best yet. Year to date is by far one of the best zombie modes I've ever played. I've never been more obsessed with the zombie mode as I am right now. So, with that being said, I'm going to give this game a buy. Make sure to check out soon our review of The Evil Within 2 and Wolfenstein 2, which is another game we have to face off against frickin' Nazis. But I just want to thank you guys so much. I know that I'm not always on a consistent schedule of posting stuff. I try to post stuff as much as I can, as quick as I can. But with that being said, I'm going to say peace out. And please make sure to hit the like button, hit the sub button. Make sure to comment and share this video as well. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.